I must tell you something, and I need you to listen carefully because what I'm about to share isn't just another astrology reading or generic relationship advice. Right now, as we move through this particular cosmic window, there's a frequency available to us that only appears once every several decades. A frequency that's pulling back the veil on one of humanity's most persistent questions. Who should we actually marry? I know you might think this is just another list of compatible zodiac signs. The kind you've seen 1,000 times before. But this time is completely different. What I'm about to reveal isn't based on surface-level sun-sign compatibility or those oversimplified charts that tell you fire signs should marry air signs. This is about something far more profound. Something that operates at the level of soul architecture and karmic design. Before we go any further, I want you to pause for a moment and check in with yourself. Have you noticed lately that you're carrying a particular kind of exhaustion? Not the physical tiredness that comes from a long day, but something deeper. Something that sits in your chest like a weight you can't quite name. It's the exhaustion of wondering if you'll ever find someone who truly sees you. Who doesn't just love the version of you that you present to the world, but loves the raw, unfiltered truth of who you are. Or perhaps you felt something else. A strange sense of hope mixed with fear. Like you're standing at the edge of something significant, but you're not sure whether to step forward or step back. Maybe you've been in relationships that looked perfect on paper, but felt hollow in practice. Maybe you've loved people who couldn't love you back in the way you needed. Maybe you're tired of the games, the ghosting, the emotional unavailability that seems to define modern romance. If any of this resonates with you, then you've already felt what I'm talking about. Your energy field, your soul has been picking up on the shifts happening in the collective consciousness around love and partnership. You're not imagining it. This is real, and it's happening right now. So let me be direct with you. There are 6 zodiac signs that carry within their energetic blueprint something extraordinary. Something that makes them not just good partners, but transformative ones. These aren't the signs that will give you the most exciting first date or the most passionate whirlwind romance. Though some of them certainly can. These are the signs that will still be choosing you, still be growing with you, still be loving you 20 years from now when the initial spark has transformed into something far more valuable. An unshakable foundation. But before I reveal these 6 signs, we need to understand the underlying logic of why certain energetic frequencies create lasting happiness in marriage while others create beautiful beginnings that lead to painful endings. This isn't mysticism for the sake of mysticism. This is about understanding the actual mechanics of how human energy systems interact over time. Think of it this way. Every zodiac sign carries a specific vibrational frequency, a particular way of processing emotion, expressing love, and moving through conflict. When two people come together in marriage, they're not just combining their personalities or their life goals. They're creating an entirely new energetic system. A third entity that's made up of both of their frequencies interacting and influencing each other constantly. Now here's what most people don't understand. Some frequencies, when they come together, create what we call constructive interference. They amplify each other's strengths. They smooth out each other's rough edges. They create a resonance that actually makes both people more of who they truly are. But other frequencies, no matter how attracted the individuals might be to each other initially, create destructive interference. They clash, they drain, they slowly erode the very qualities that made each person special in the first place. The 6 signs I'm about to share with you are the ones whose core frequencies create constructive interference with the widest range of other signs. But more than that, they carry specific qualities that address the 3 fundamental needs every human being has in a long-term partnership: emotional safety, spiritual growth, and practical stability. Let me break this down even further because this is crucial. Emotional safety means you can show up as your messiest, most vulnerable self and know that you won't be abandoned or shamed for it. It means that when you're going through your darkest moments, when you're not pretty or put together or impressive, your partner doesn't withdraw their love, they move closer. This is the foundation that most relationships claim to have, but very few actually possess. Because emotional safety isn't built through grand gestures or passionate declarations. It's built through 1,000 small moments of consistent presence, through the ability to hold space for another person's pain without trying to fix it or minimize it or make it about yourself. Spiritual growth means that being with this person doesn't keep you comfortable and stagnant. It challenges you. It pushes you to confront your shadows, to heal your wounds, to become more conscious and more whole. But here's the key distinction. It does this through invitation, not through force, through inspiration, not through criticism. The right partner doesn't try to change you. They create an environment where you naturally want to evolve because you see them doing their own work, and their commitment to growth calls forth your own, and practical stability. This is the piece that spiritual people often want to skip over, but it matters immensely. Practical stability means you can actually build a life together. It means you share compatible values around money, around family, around how you want to structure your daily existence. It means that when life gets hard, when someone loses a job or gets sick, or when unexpected challenges arise, you have a partner who doesn't crumble or run. You have someone who rolls up their sleeves and figures it out with you. Now, the 6 signs I'm about to reveal to you each carry at least 2 of these 3 qualities in abundance. And some of them carry all 3. But before I name them, I need you to understand something critical. This information isn't for everyone. If you're someone who's still chasing the high of drama, if you're still addicted to the push and pull of toxic dynamics, if you're still confusing intensity with intimacy, then what I'm about to share won't resonate with you yet. And that's okay. There's no judgment in that. We all have our own timing, our own lessons to learn. But if you're someone who's done with the games, if you're ready for something real, if you're willing to choose depth over excitement and substance over sparkle, then pay very close attention. Because what I'm about to give you is essentially a golden ticket. An unfair advantage in the landscape of modern relationships where so many people are lost and confused and settling for far less than they deserve. The first sign is Taurus. And I can already hear some of you thinking, really? Taurus? That's so predictable. But stay with me, because what I'm about to explain about Taurus energy will completely shift how you understand this sign. Taurus is ruled by Venus, the planet of love and beauty. But not in the way that Libra, the other Venus-ruled sign, expresses it. Libra's Venus is about aesthetics, about harmony, about the art of relationship itself. But Taurus's Venus is about something more primal and more enduring. It's about the physical embodiment of love. It's about touch and presence, and the kind of devotion that shows up in actions rather than words. When you marry a Taurus, you're marrying someone who understands that love is a practice, not just a feeling. They know that feelings come and go, that passion ebbs and flows. But commitment is a choice you make every single day, and Taurus makes the choice with a steadiness that's almost shocking in our current cultural moment, where people ghost each other after 3 dates and break up over text message. Here's what this looks like in practice. A Taurus partner is the person who remembers that you mentioned 3 months ago that you loved a particular kind of tea, and they surprise you with it on a random Tuesday. They're the person who notices when you're stressed before you even say anything. And they draw you a bath or make you dinner or simply sit with you in silence because they understand that sometimes presence is the greatest gift. They're the person who, 20 years into the marriage, still reaches for your hand when you're walking down the street. But there's something else about Taurus that makes them exceptional marriage material. And it's something that often gets overlooked. Taurus has an almost supernatural ability to create sanctuary. They understand, at a cellular level, that home isn't just a physical space, it's an energetic container, and they have this gift for making wherever they are feel safe and nourishing and beautiful. This matters more than you might think, because in a world that's increasingly chaotic and demanding and overwhelming, coming home to a Taurus is like coming home to yourself. They create an environment where you can finally exhale, where you can let down your guard, where you don't have to perform or prove or pretend, and over time, this quality of sanctuary becomes the bedrock of your entire life together. Now, Taurus isn't perfect. No sign is. They can be stubborn to the point of rigidity. They can resist change even when change is necessary. They can sometimes prioritize comfort over growth. But here's the thing, right? If you're with a Taurus who's done their own healing work, who's conscious and self-aware, these shadow qualities become manageable. And what you get in return, that unwavering loyalty, that ensure presence, that ability to make you feel cherished and safe, is worth its weight in gold. The second sign is Cancer. And I know, Cancer gets a bad rap. They're cold, too emotional, too needy, too sensitive. But let me tell you something that might completely shift your perspective. The qualities that our culture dismisses as weaknesses in Cancer are actually their greatest strengths when it comes to marriage. Cancer is ruled by the moon, which governs our emotional body, our subconscious patterns, our deepest needs for nurturing and belonging. And Cancer doesn't just understand emotions intellectually. They feel them. They swim in them. They have an almost psychic ability to sense what you're feeling before you've even fully processed it yourself. When you marry a Cancer, you're marrying someone who will see you. Not the version of you that you show to the world. Not the persona you've carefully constructed. But the real you. The you that's scared and hopeful and wounded and brave all at the same time. And they won't just see you. They'll love you. Not despite your complexity, but because of it. I want you to imagine what it would feel like to be in a relationship where you never have to explain yourself. Where your partner just gets it. Where you can come home after a terrible day and you don't have to put on a brave face or pretend everything's fine. You can just collapse into their arms and they'll hold you. And somehow, in that holding, you'll feel your nervous system start to regulate. You'll feel the tension start to release. You'll feel held in a way that goes beyond the physical. This is what Cancer offers. They offer emotional attunement at a level that most people don't even know is possible. And in a long-term marriage, this quality becomes absolutely invaluable. Because life is hard. Loss happens. Disappointment happens. Grief happens. And when those moments come, and they will come, you want a partner who doesn't shut down or intellectualize or try to fix everything. You want a partner who can simply be with you in the darkness, who can hold space for your pain without being destroyed by it. But Cancer offers something else too. Something that's deeply connected to their ruling planet. They understand cycles. They understand that relationships, like the moon itself, go through phases. There are times of fullness and times of emptiness. Times of closeness and times of necessary distance. Times of passion and times of quiet companionship. And unlike signs that panic when the relationship isn't always at peak intensity, Cancer trusts the process. They know that winter always gives way to spring, that the tide always comes back in. This wisdom, this trust in the natural rhythms of intimacy, creates a kind of spaciousness in the relationship. You don't feel pressured to be on all the time. You don't feel like you're failing when you need alone time or when you're going through a period of personal struggle. Cancer understands that you're both whole, complete individuals who are choosing to walk through life together, and that sometimes that means walking side by side and sometimes that means giving each other room to walk your own paths. Now, the shadow side of Cancer is real. They can be moody. They can retreat into their shell when they're hurt instead of communicating directly. They can sometimes use emotional manipulation as a defense mechanism. But again, if you're with a Cancer who's self-aware, who's willing to do their healing work, these patterns can be transformed, and what you get in return is a depth of emotional intimacy that most people spend their entire lives searching for. The third sign is Virgo, and this is where things get really interesting. Because Virgo is probably the most misunderstood sign in the entire Zodiac when it comes to relationships. Most people think of Virgo as critical, perfectionist, cold. They think of Virgo as the sign that will nitpick you to death. That will never be satisfied. That will make you feel like you're constantly falling short. And yes, unevolved Virgo can absolutely manifest these qualities. But evolved Virgo, conscious Virgo, healed Virgo is something entirely different. Virgo is ruled by Mercury, the planet of communication and analysis. But Virgo's Mercury operates very differently from Gemini's Mercury. Gemini's Mercury is about ideas and concepts and the play of language itself. But Virgo's Mercury is about discernment. It's about the ability to see what's actually happening beneath the surface, to identify patterns, to understand systems. When you marry a Virgo, you're marrying someone who will help you become the best version of yourself. Not through criticism, but through clear-eyed observation and genuine support. A healthy Virgo doesn't tear you down. They see your potential with crystal clarity. And they help you bridge the gap between where you are and where you want to be. Let me give you a concrete example. Let's say you've been talking for years about wanting to write a book, but you never seem to make progress. Most partners will either ignore this completely or offer vague encouragement like, "You should totally do that. You'd be great at it." But a Virgo partner will sit down with you and help you figure out why you're stuck. They'll ask questions. They'll help you identify the actual obstacles, whether they're practical like time management or psychological like fear of failure. And then they'll help you create a realistic plan to move forward. This quality of practical support, of actually helping you manifest your dreams rather than just cheerleading from the sidelines, is incredibly rare and incredibly valuable. Because the truth is, we all need someone who believes in us. But we also need someone who's willing to roll up their sleeves and help us do the work. But there's something even deeper about Virgo that makes them exceptional marriage material. Virgo is the sign of service. But not service in the martyred, self-sacrificing sense. Service in the sense of genuine care. Of wanting to make your partner's life easier and better in tangible ways. A Virgo remembers that you have an important meeting and makes sure you have a good breakfast. They notice that you're overwhelmed and they quietly take care of the tasks that are draining you. They pay attention to the details of your life because they genuinely care about your well-being. And here's what's beautiful about this. When you're with someone who serves you in this way, you naturally want to serve them back, not out of obligation, but out of genuine appreciation and love. And this creates a positive feedback loop where both people are constantly looking for ways to support and care for each other. This is how you build a marriage that doesn't just survive, but actually thrives over decades. The shadow side of Virgo is that they can get lost in the details and lose sight of the bigger picture. They can become anxious and controlling when they're stressed. They can sometimes struggle to simply be present without analyzing or trying to improve everything. But when Virgo learns to balance their natural gifts with acceptance and surrender, they become absolutely extraordinary partners. Does this resonate with you so far? Have you noticed how each of these signs offers something fundamentally different? Yet each one addresses those needs we talked about earlier. Taurus gives you sanctuary and steadiness. Cancer gives you emotional depth and attunement. Virgo gives you practical support and the space to grow. And we're only halfway through. The fourth sign is Libra, and I need you to set aside everything you think you know about Libra for a moment. Because what I'm about to share goes far deeper than the surface-level descriptions you've probably encountered. Yes, Libra is ruled by Venus. Yes, they value harmony and beauty and partnership. But here's what most people miss about Libra energy. Libra doesn't just want peace for the sake of avoiding conflict. Evolved Libra understands that true harmony can only exist when there's authentic balance. When both people in the relationship feel genuinely seen and valued and respected. When you marry a Libra, you're marrying someone who will fight for fairness in your relationship. Not fairness in some cold, transactional sense where everything has to be exactly equal, but fairness in the sense that both people's needs matter. Both people's perspectives are valid. Both people's growth is prioritized. A Libra will never let the relationship become one-sided. They won't let you sacrifice yourself for them, and they won't sacrifice themselves for you. They understand, at a soul level, that sustainable love requires equilibrium. Let me paint you a picture of what this looks like in practice. Imagine you're in a disagreement with your Libra partner. Most people, when they're in conflict, are either trying to win the argument or they're shutting down to avoid confrontation altogether. But a Libra does something completely different. They step back and they genuinely try to see the situation from your perspective. Not because they're weak or because they're people-pleasing, but because they understand that the truth usually lies somewhere in the middle, in the space between two viewpoints. And this quality, this ability to hold multiple perspectives simultaneously, creates something magical in a marriage. It creates an environment where both people feel heard, where disagreements don't have to become battles, where you can work through differences without anyone having to be wrong or bad or less than. Over time, this transforms the entire emotional climate of the relationship. You stop bracing for conflict. You stop walking on eggshells. You start to trust that even when you disagree, you're still on the same team. But there's another dimension to Libra that makes them extraordinary marriage partners, and it's connected to their cardinal nature. Libra is a cardinal sign, which means they're initiators. They're leaders, but they lead through collaboration rather than domination. They have this remarkable ability to bring people together, to create consensus, to find solutions that work for everyone involved. In a marriage, this translates to someone who's constantly thinking about the relationship as a whole, not just their individual needs. They're the partner who suggests date nights when things have gotten to routine. They're the one who initiates difficult conversations before resentments build up. They're the one who remembers to celebrate your wins and acknowledge your efforts. They understand that relationships don't maintain themselves, that they require active cultivation and care. And here's something that often surprises people about Libra. Beneath that diplomatic exterior, there's a core of steel. Libra is represented by the scales, but those scales are also the symbol of justice. When a Libra commits to you, when they decide you're their person, they will stand up for you with a fierceness that can be startling. They won't tolerate anyone disrespecting you or undermining you. They become your advocate, your defender, your champion. The shadow side of Libra is that they can struggle with decision-making, constantly weighing options and seeing all sides until they're paralyzed. They can sometimes prioritize keeping the peace over addressing real issues. They can lose themselves in the relationship if they're not careful, becoming so focused on we that they forget about I. But when Libra learns to balance their natural gift for partnership with strong personal boundaries and self-awareness, they become absolutely masterful at creating relationships that are both deeply connected and healthily individuated. The fifth sign is Capricorn, and I know this might surprise some of you, because Capricorn doesn't usually make it onto lists of romantic or emotionally available signs. But stay with me, because what Capricorn offers in marriage is something that becomes more valuable with every passing year. Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, the planet of structure, responsibility, and long-term commitment. And while this might not sound sexy or exciting, it's actually the foundation upon which lasting happiness is built. Because here's a truth that nobody wants to hear but everyone needs to understand. Passion fades. Butterflies settle. The initial rush of falling in love always transforms into something else. And the question is why? What does it transform into? When you marry a Capricorn, it transforms into something solid, something you can build a life on, something that doesn't crumble when times get hard. Capricorn understands commitment not as a feeling, but as a structure. They understand that love is a choice you make every day. And they make that choice with the same dedication and discipline they bring to everything else in their life. Let me be very clear about what this means. A Capricorn partner is someone who shows up. When they say they're going to do something, they do it. When they make a promise, they keep it. When they commit to you, they commit fully, not with one foot out the door, not with a backup plan, not with an expiration date in mind. They're in it for the long haul. And that kind of reliability, that kind of steadiness, creates a foundation of trust that's absolutely unshakable. But Capricorn offers something else that's equally important. They're builders. They think in terms of legacy, in terms of what you're creating together that will last beyond your individual lifetimes. When you marry a Capricorn, you're not just getting a romantic partner, you're getting a true life partner, someone who will work alongside you to build wealth, to create stability, to establish something meaningful that you can pass on to future generations. This might sound materialistic, but it's not. It's about understanding that love exists in the real world, not just in the realm of feelings and fantasies. It's about recognizing that you need a solid foundation to support all the beautiful, intangible aspects of relationship. You need financial security so you're not constantly stressed about money. You need a stable home so you have a sanctuary to return to. You need long-term planning so you're not just reacting to life but actively shaping it. And here's what's beautiful about being with a Capricorn. Their ambition and doctor diminish their capacity for love. In fact, it's the opposite. When a Capricorn loves you, you become part of their vision for the future. You become someone they're building toward, someone they're working for. And there's something deeply moving about being loved by someone who demonstrates that love through action, through sacrifice, through the daily choice to show up and do the work. Capricorn also brings something else to marriage that's often overlooked. Wisdom. Capricorn is an old soul. They understand that life is long, that challenges are inevitable, that success requires patience and persistence. When you're going through a difficult period, when you're facing setbacks or disappointments, a Capricorn partner doesn't panic. They don't catastrophize. They take a step back. They assess the situation realistically, and they help you create a plan to move forward. This quality of level-headed pragmatism is incredibly stabilizing, especially in a world that often feels chaotic and unpredictable. The shadow side of Capricorn is that they can be emotionally reserved, sometimes struggling to express vulnerability or affection in obvious ways. They can become so focused on achievement and responsibility that they forget to simply be present and enjoy the moment. They can sometimes treat the relationship like another project to manage rather than a living, breathing connection that needs spontaneity and play. But when Capricorn learns to balance their natural gifts with emotional openness and flexibility, they become the kind of partner who provides both security and depth, both stability and growth. The sixth and final sign is Pisces, and this is where we come full circle. Because Pisces represents something that all the other signs we've discussed have been building toward, the capacity for unconditional love. Pisces is ruled by Neptune, the planet of transcendence, spirituality, and boundless compassion. And Pisces doesn't just understand love as an emotion or a choice or a commitment. Pisces understands love as a state of being, as something that flows through them like water, touching everything and everyone in its path. When you marry a Pisces, you're marrying someone who will love you without conditions, without requirements, without a checklist of things you need to be or do to earn their affection. They see your soul. They see past your defenses and your wounds and your mistakes, and they love the essence of who you are. And this kind of love, this unconditional acceptance, has the power to heal wounds you didn't even know you were carrying. I want you to really take this in, because it's profound. Most of us have been conditionally loved our entire lives. We've been loved when we're successful, when we're attractive, when we're pleasant, when we're meeting other people's expectations. We've learned to perform, to hide our true selves, to only show the parts of us that we think are acceptable. But a Pisces sees through all of that. They're not interested in your persona. They want to know the real you, the messy you, the you that you're afraid to show anyone else. And when you're truly seen and loved in this way, something shifts inside you. You start to relax. You start to trust. You start to believe that maybe, just maybe, you're worthy of love exactly as you are. This is the gift that Pisces brings to marriage. They create a space where you can finally stop pretending, stop performing, stop trying so hard to be enough. Because in their eyes, you already are. But Pisces offers something else that's secretly valuable. They're dreamers. They're visionaries. They have this beautiful ability to see potential and possibility where others see only limitations. When you're stuck in practical concerns or logical constraints, the Pisces partner will remind you that there's magic in the world, that miracles happen, that sometimes the best path forward is the one that doesn't make logical sense but feels right in your soul. This quality of faith, of trust in something larger than yourself, can be incredibly nourishing in a long-term marriage. There will be times when everything feels dark and hopeless, when you can't see a way forward, when you're tempted to give up. And in those moments, having a partner who still believes, who still has hope, who still trusts that things will work out, can be the difference between breaking and bending. Pisces also brings a depth of emotional and spiritual intimacy that's unmatched. They're not afraid of the depths. They're not afraid of your darkness or your pain or your complexity. In fact, they're drawn to it. They want to explore the hidden corners of your psyche with you. They want to understand your dreams and your fears and your secret longings. And this creates a level of intimacy that goes far beyond the physical, far beyond the everyday companionship of marriage. It creates a soul connection, a sense that you're truly known and truly loved at the deepest possible level. The shadow side of Pisces is that they can be escapist, sometimes avoiding difficult realities through fantasy or substances, or simply checking out emotionally. They can be so empathetic that they absorb other people's emotions and lose touch with their own needs and boundaries. They can sometimes be passive, waiting for life to happen to them rather than actively shaping their circumstances. But when Pisces learns to ground their spiritual gifts in practical reality, when they develop healthy boundaries and self-care practices, they become absolutely transcendent partners. Now, I want to address something important before we close. You might be wondering, what if I'm not compatible with any of these 6 signs? What if my partner isn't one of these signs? Does that mean we're doomed? Absolutely not. And this is crucial to understand. Astrology is a tool for insight, not a rigid set of rules. Every sign has the capacity for deep love and lasting commitment when the individual has done their healing work, when they're conscious and self-aware, when they're willing to show up fully in relationship. What I've shared with you today are the signs whose core energetic frequencies naturally lend themselves to the qualities that create lasting marital happiness. But that doesn't mean other signs can't develop these qualities. It doesn't mean that a Gemini or an Aries or a Sagittarius can't be an amazing life partner. It simply means that these 6 signs, Taurus, Cancer, Virgo, Libra, Capricorn, and Pisces, have certain built-in advantages when it comes to the specific challenges and requirements of long-term, committed partnership. And here's something else to consider. We're all more than just our sun sign. You have a moon sign that governs your emotional nature. You have a Venus sign that influences how you love. You have a Mars sign that affects how you pursue what you want. You have an entire birth chart full of planetary placements and aspects that create the unique constellation of who you are. So even if your sun sign isn't one of these 6, you might have significant placements in these signs that give you access to these qualities. But beyond all the astrological technicalities, there's something more fundamental I want you to understand. The real secret to a happy marriage isn't finding the perfect Zodiac match. It's finding someone who's committed to growth, someone who's willing to do their inner work, someone who understands that love is both a gift and a practice. Because here's the truth. You can marry the most compatible sign in the Zodiac. But if that person is emotionally unavailable, if they're unwilling to communicate, if they're not interested in healing their wounds or examining their patterns, the relationship will struggle. And conversely, you can marry someone whose sign isn't traditionally compatible with yours. But if you're both committed to showing up, to working through challenges, to choosing each other every day, you can create something beautiful and lasting. What I've given you today is a map, a guide to understanding which energetic frequencies naturally support the kind of deep, lasting, transformative love that most people are searching for. Use this information wisely. Use it to recognize these qualities when you encounter them. whether they show up in one of these 6 signs or in unexpected places. Use it to cultivate these qualities within yourself. Because the truth is, we attract what we embody. If you want a partner who offers emotional safety, become someone who creates emotional safety. If you want a partner who supports your growth, become someone who supports growth. If you want a partner who's reliable and committed, become reliable and committed yourself. This is how you call in the kind of love you're seeking, not by waiting for the perfect person to appear, but by becoming the kind of person who's ready for that level of partnership. And if you're already in a relationship with someone whose sign is on this list, I want you to recognize the gift you've been given. Don't take it for granted. Don't assume that just because someone has these natural qualities, the relationship will maintain itself. Every relationship requires attention, care, appreciation, and active cultivation. Thank your partner for the ways they show up for you. Acknowledge the qualities they bring. Meet their efforts with your own. And if you're single and looking, use this information to refine your vision of what you're calling in. Don't just look for surface-level attraction or exciting chemistry. Look for someone who demonstrates these deeper qualities. The ability to create sanctuary, the capacity for emotional depth, the willingness to support your growth, the commitment to fairness and balance, the dedication to building something lasting, the openness to unconditional love. These are the qualities that will still matter 20 years from now, when the initial excitement has settled into something far more valuable. The cosmic frequency I mentioned at the beginning of this conversation, the one that's available to us right now, is an invitation. It's an invitation to raise your standards, to stop settling, to believe that you deserve the kind of love that nourishes your soul and supports your evolution. It's an invitation to look beyond the superficial and recognize the profound. It's an invitation to choose partnership not as an escape from yourself,